We're going live.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and coffee stream number 74. Skep Talk and I are here this morning to bring you another coffee stream. How are you, Skep?
I'm doing fine. As you can hear, the dogs have already started barking. I'm boarding another couple of dogs here, and I can't control them here. They're just gonna bark randomly throughout the stream, and I'm sorry in advance to our audience. On the other hand, I think our audience is pretty understanding about dogs. They don't hate them, and it won't be an obnoxious thing. My wife is here, and she'll go and tackle the dogs and convince them to bribe them to be quiet, do whatever she does. But yeah, I have a little bit of a cold this morning, so my voice will sound flat and dry because my voice is flat and dry. and I'm all jacked up on NyQuil, so it could be a very, very festive stream this morning.
Yes.
It could be some real fun. If I start talking about intimate family details, just stop me. And other than that, not too terribly much to report. There was before we get into the news, I was going to tell you that I wanted to do this. I saw something in the Twitterverse that kind of grabbed my attention, and it was let me find it. It was a back and forth between Ranting Monkey and MRAS. Do you know who MRAS is?
It sounds familiar, but
she's a feminist. She's a classical intersectional feminist. A fat acceptance. Feminist. Well, the usual stuff. And so, and she calls herself the feminist next door.
Okay.
So MRAS tweets this out. 2,996 people died in the World Trade Center attack. We waged a 9-year war and re-engineered our national security and privacy rights in response. 2,142 women were murdered last year by a current or former partner. Today, Congress allowed the Violence Against Women Act to expire. And so that was her outrage of the week kind of a thing. And so, you have the usual, white knights of MRAS replying to her, oh, you're so wonderful. Men are so terrible. And, women have it so bad. But Ranting Monkey said, it's still illegal to beat or kill women, just as it was before the Violence Against Women Act. It was just a way to shut women up who blame the whole society for crime and think some kind of new law will come and prevent it. And then I joined the conversation. I said, MRAS is tweeting for the benefit of her base. She is smart enough to know what you're saying is the truth. And I actually think that MRAS is smart enough to know the truth. And of course, the conversation devolves after that. Well, the thing that I would like to point out to people, and the thing I would like to maybe have a little bit of a conversation about, is how much of these new laws that are coming out and being proposed as hate laws, hate crime laws, and so forth, are nothing more than a restatement of laws that are already on the books. They might have a new penalty. They might have more harsh penalties, particularly for first-time offenses. But they murder and assault and hurting people, physically hurting people, is against the law. You don't need a new law to say it's really, really against the law to do it to women. What's the value of an act like that?
I agree with you. I don't think that there is a need for a defining hate, because you don't generally, when you kill somebody, you don't go, God, I love you.
That's true.
Slaughter. You know what I mean? Generally, when you kill somebody, you have a negative feeling toward them.
It's always that way with me.
When you rape somebody, you don't rape them because you love them.
Oh no, that's a violence and domination thing.
When a husband or a wife, and this is my problem again with the Violence Against Women Act, that basically codifies in law that men don't get abused domestically, and that's bullshit.
Yes,
that's absolute bullshit.
It does that by implication. It certainly does that.
And I do not agree with that at all. Boy.
Boys, she said, scream louder. So, I tend to think that, I agree with you. Obviously, you're agreeing with me. And the place that I take this to is that if people have different penalties for doing bad things to different people, like let's say that it's you get life in prison if you kill a white person, but if you kill a black person, you get killed. The state will kill you, will take your life away.
Yeah, that would be weird.
That's where this goes. That's where this goes, unfortunately. And so when we begin to so finely divide society into little groups, little categories, and say you're better than this other category, you're more deserving of protection than this other category. People who do bad things to you are deserving of greater sanctions than people who do the same thing to this other group of people, because that group of people we perceive is not as valuable as this other people.
Oh my God.
I mean, when do you say that's obviously racism? That's very clearly racism. When do you say that? When will somebody have the guts step up and say the emperor is not wearing any clothes? This is racism.
Oh my God! Can you hold on a second?
Yeah, no worries.
I'll be right back, guys.
No worries. I'll anyway. By the way, my solution always with kids was just to get a proper amount of duct tape and a good solid gag, and a telephone pole, and that was babysitting back in the day. We didn't mess around with this stuff, but my surviving kids really appreciated it. Anyway, that notwithstanding, I thought I might, as long as we're talking about all this stuff, I might go through chat and see what chat is doing today. I just realized I don't even have a worldview up. So let's take a look here. There's the live now. And we mute it. And so Chadwick says, I'm right there with you today. Skep, close some duct tape and eggs. Sounding pretty good right now. That's just me speaking in frustration. Sometimes I feel that way about the dogs too. They won't shut up, and I'm trying to do a show or something like that. It's part of the charm of doing a show from your home is that you have dogs to help bark into the microphone. So anyway, and let's see. Jacob Navo, I'm going to pre-order Anthem today. What is Anthem? Is that a game? Is that a game based on the novel? Or is it Anathem or Anthem? Anyway, I'd be interested to know, because Anathem was one of my favorite books that I read just a couple of years ago.
I apologize for all of the loudness, guys. While Skep has dogs, I've got both boys.
No worries. I've been singing and dancing up here. Just kind of saying hello to chat, going through chat. Hi, Costin. Good to see you. Hey, Camel. Death. John Migda. Opinionated Scotsman. We have great chat. These are great people. These are guys who, Jesse, Chadwick, Will. These are people I see on Twitter all the time. and it's fun to see folks like All You Need to come out and be a part of our broadcast. Love to hear what people are saying. Jesse the Fennec Fox says, my siblings and I would if sunny explore the neighborhood. If it's sunny, they explore the neighborhood. If it's rainy, they play games, watch TV, fight, goes hunting, stuff like that. Sure, I mean there's plenty of stuff to do. The problem is keeping them quiet if you're trying to run a show.
Chadwick, I'm with you right now. I love my boys, but I can't wait for them to go back to school and daycare.
It's driving him crazy, evidently. Yeah, I understand that. And Will Honestly says, I always hate when they make games off of books. Other than The Witcher, those games were good, but only loosely based on the books. That's true. I actually read the whole Witcher series. I read the entire Witcher series. It was like 5 books or something.
Oh.
And the translated series from the Polish author, I forgot his name. It's one of those unpronounceable names.
Right.
And I just thought it was just great fun. I mean, if you like sword and sorcery type of fiction, that kind of fantasy, it's just wonderful. You know, with sword, sorcery, and magic, you can't go wrong with The Witcher 5 books. It's really, it's raw. I mean, it's like really, really, really grown up Lord of the Rings. There's no innocence in it. None. So pretty cool and very dark places.
They put The Witcher in Soul Calibur this time as a guest character.
Oh, really? Excellent. Yeah. He's an interesting guy.
He is. He's a bitch to fight, though.
Oh, of course he is. That's what he does.
Because they gave him magic. Because he's not going to be the Witcher without magic, right? So some of his moves have magic.
Yeah.
And they hurt.
Yeah.
They really hurt.
Is what he does. So, big fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to ask you, getting back to this, I kind of been talking about stuff on YouTube and talking about our chat and people who've been watching and so forth. Kind of covered the lay of the land there. Did you want to get off into headlines, and wondered if you had a headline that you wanted to start us off with?
Oh, I've got a few. Let's. I'm gonna jump into my DMs here because what I do is I DM myself.
Sure.
Stuff so that I'm not searching for it.
Yeah, I've done that actually. I message myself even on my phone.
Yeah.
And so
Ryan Rawlings, I did not threaten to feed my children to the proximity badgers. I gave them food, and I found the remote for them.
Well, that's really good parenting, don't you think? All right. Yeah. Are you looking for your DMs now for the headlines?
Yeah. Okay. There's one that I just found right before the stream, actually.
Okay.
That I just found.
What's it about, just while you're looking?
Dollar coin design. I'm reading it right now. Dollar coin design commemorating the 50th anniversary of the decriminalization of homosexuality.
I hesitate to ask, what is the design of that dollar?
Well, it's on the CBC's website.
This is the new design for the loonie, is that
Yes, the loonie design. I hate that our coin is called a loonie. I really do. I know why.
Right, because it's a loon.
Yes.
On there. Decriminalization of homo. Okay, new Yeah, the new Canadian $1 coin will celebrate LGBTQ RMPZYKF equality. Okay, and it says in 2019, the Royal Canadian Mint will be releasing a redesigned loon to celebrate criminalization of homosexuality. So it's going to have a very straight-looking duck on the back, which I guess is the loon, and a very straight-looking queen, which I guess is Elizabeth Regina, on the front, especially since it says Elizabeth II DG Regina. So there you go. Has the artist's initials on it, RRC. That's interesting. One of the most valuable coins that you can collect is a 1909 San Francisco S penny that has Victor, I think his name was Victor David Brenner on it, and it's a VSB. It's called the 1909 SVVD, and VDB. That's what it is. And it's extremely rare. Very hard to get a hold of, and that's because it has it. There's just a very few of the San Francisco pressings,
right?
That have his initials on them. And I noticed that this one has the initials on, so it might be good to collect one of these if you can hold on to it.
But I found this because I was just flicking through my personal Facebook.
Yeah.
And one of my trans friends, who is actually very conservative, which is a trend that I've noticed among actual transgendered people.
Yes, not transgenders.
Yes.
Actual trans folk. Yes.
And he posted this link with a what the fuck.
Yeah. Well, how does this celebrate LGBTQ RMP KYFTB equality?
I don't know. I don't know why we need to celebrate.
Is it like a sex with ducks thing, or?
Well, and are you saying that Elizabeth was a lesbian? Like,
yeah, or that she was into ducks,
or she was either she was a lesbian or she was into interspecies erotica.
Oh, I see. Now I get the connection. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
So,
I mean, it's pretty clear that she and her son, because of his ears, you can tell that he's not a human, not a humanoid. He's a different species.
So, do you think Albert was secretly a different species?
Very definitely. No doubt in my mind.
Or no, not Albert. Albert was Victoria's wife. Or husband.
Philip.
Victoria's wife. Jesus Christ, blind press. Wake up.
I know what you meant. Philip. Well, she wore, Victoria wore the pants in the family.
Oh, she did. She did. She was actually, she was so sick of, like, she was actually a terrible, well, not a terrible person, but she was there are letters of her writing to her uncle saying, if I have another girl, if I give birth to another girl, I'm going to drown it.
Yeah. She
just didn't like baby girls, apparently. Yeah.
Victoria was a strange lady, let's put it that way. And I always thought that she was probably possibly a Cardassian. But, you can't really tell. Maybe with the suppressed, some of the more Cardassian were suppressed. Anyway, it's a very family stream this morning.
It is, yes.
with all this screaming in the background on your part and barking in the background on my part, it's showing you what the new media really is like. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're enjoying your dip into the new media. So, as usual, I decided that I would go over to, like U.S. News and World Report. I'll certainly get some good international headlines over there, right? Of course, right. Not really. Oh, somebody didn't get what they wanted when they wanted. And you get here. I'm just going to run through the headlines rather than go down into one or the other.
Right.
But here is what U.S. News and World Report thinks are headlines this morning.
Okay, this is going to be good.
Americans are optimistic about the future. Just don't ask about politics. A substantial share of Americans are feeling hopeful about the new year, according to a new NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll. And some of us, especially young people, plan to make resolutions. All right, well, let's check out and see what this really says. It's a measurable jump in optimism from 2011, when just 54% of the country felt similarly about the upcoming year. So, basically, 60% of Americans think the next year is going to be rosy. Okay.
Interesting.
Optimists look to family, while pessimists cite politics. Pessimists hate the fact that Trump is president, and there we get to the core of the article. Basically, yes, sure, 60% of the people are optimistic, but look at all the people who hate Trump. Let's talk about that for the rest of the article. So that's the first article. So I went, okay, well, maybe that's not all there is to it. Maybe there's something more about this. Maybe I can go down here. And so I say, okay, next one is Smithsonian National Zoo, the Washington National Zoo, to close after New Year's Day in government shutdown.
Oh, fuck off.
And then you hear the chief spokeswoman for the Smithsonian saying that about 2/3 of the institution staff are federal employees and will be furloughed effective January 2nd. They may never come back to work. Poor thing. And
think of the people. Think of the animals in the zoo. What a horrible man Trump is.
It says, as hope for a last-minute resolution to the political standoff that has triggered the government shutdown all but evaporates. Smithsonian officials announced Thursday that all of its museums, as well as the National Zoo, will be shuttered on January 2nd unless a deal is reached. There's no getting around it. They're all going to close. We're all going to die. And so the Smithsonian will remain open to the public through New Year's Day using prior year funds. The Smithsonian's federal appropriation for 2018 fiscal year was $1 billion. $1 billion.
Wow.
Reported. We are very lucky that we had that budget, especially in one of our busiest weeks of the year. And she, goes into quote some things about the, how busy the different museums are and so forth. But let's see, you have people who come for once in a lifetime visit or to see something very special, and it's a shame to turn them away. And according to Thomas, those who will continue working through the shutdown are security personnel, some maintenance workers, care for special experts who care for special works or exhibits and so forth. And let's see, it's just all negative. Anything negative that can be said about Trump or anybody else that's what gets said. It's all doom. It's all gloom. We're all going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Trump leading Democrats fault each other as partial shutdowns heads to 2019. That's at least tries to be fair on its face. And then, you get nothing about what is going on, in Syria and Lebanon with the Israelis, in the world. In the world news headline is not that the Israelis found a fifth tunnel that Hezbollah was going to use to invade Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They didn't. No, that's not. That doesn't even get mentioned. Does not even get mentioned. Sorry about the noise.
It's all right.
Determined to. Let's see. I'm sorry. What happened here? Hold on. Sorry, I lost what I was looking at. How did this happen? All right. Well, at any rate, but there were some interesting and unusual things in this. One is that Russia will deploy a new hypersonic missile system in 2019. Vladimir Putin says, "Okay,
Not supersonic, but
hypersonic. Yeah. The avant-garde weapon system is built around a hypersonic glide vehicle that takes an elusive path toward the target. It travels at more than Mach 20.
Good Lord.
Okay, so
That's
basically,
unnecessarily fast.
well, that's the speed at which like spacecraft re-enter the Earth's atmosphere after they've been to the moon or something, like 20,000, roughly, 20,000 miles an hour, 15,000 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be effectively unkillable because it can maneuver at that speed.
Right.
And it basically goes way high in the air and then comes down, almost straight down and at a very, very high rate of speed, and then can deliver, like a nuclear package if you wanted to. So that is a huge step forward. It's a great step forward. The thing of it is, it doesn't really truly change much with the United States because we always have, the trump card, and that is the ability to, even if Russia got 50% of our land-based stuff and a third of our at-sea-based assets, the remainder would flatten Russia. Russia would cease to exist. And so, and everybody knows that. Anybody who does that, but evidently there's a film on it and so forth. Shows it how fast it can deploy, and it really does not take very long for it to deploy. The thing from cradle to grave, from starting launch, saying we've got a problem, push the button,
right,
to getting the thing out of the ground is less than a minute.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so they can get this thing, and it basically comes out of holes in the ground, very small holes in the ground. It's away very quickly. It does not have very much vulnerability, and it will come down very, very, very fast. So something to think about there. It's really, really kind of a pretty cool technology if you really want to know the truth.
Oh yeah, that is very cool technology, but it's also like, okay.
Well, here's the thing about that technology. We'll just take that and the peacetime application for that is the answer to how do I get from New York City to Melbourne, Australia in 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you do it on a rocket like this, basically a rocket that takes you way, way up, and you rocket around the world at 20,000 miles an hour. Of course, the circumference of the Earth being, 25,000 miles, you can get halfway around the Earth in half an hour, basically, in 30 minutes. So everywhere is 30 minutes away from you when you have something like that. And then, so you go way, way up above the Earth, and then you come down in a ballistic trajectory. And it's a very very fast way to travel. Amazingly fast. So it has an interesting aspect to it, interesting peacetime aspect to it. I would love to see that developed more and more. I mean, there's really no reason why people could not travel that way now. You could make that safe enough for people.
True.
You really could. I mean, it wouldn't be as safe as an airplane, but it would be safe, relatively safe. Anyway, so I thought that was an interesting article, and I was glad to see that. U.S. News and World Report is sort of a mixed bag of headlines. Some of them are worthwhile, and some of them are, just garbage stuff where they just hating on Trump. And there's basically what they do is retweet a lot of stuff. If you think about it, it's the news magazine equivalent of a retweet.
I saw a headline where there was a guy that skied across the Antarctic.
Yeah, up solo.
Yeah, he just finished.
And boy, was he cold.
The Antarctic has always fascinated me.
How so? I mean, obviously me too, but how so?
It's to me, the Antarctic is almost as unfathomable as the ocean. Because it's just so goddamn cold.
Yeah.
And we as humans have a really hard time down there, not just because of the cold, but because of the freaking the severe changes between light and dark.
Oh yeah.
There have been many cases of scientists, especially scientists that have to have done like solo missions or solo expeditions down there, who have gotten like severe depression, or they can't sleep. Their cycles are all messed up. They sometimes they go a little bit crazy.
Sure, I can see how that could happen.
And it reminds me of just the vastness and basically let's face it, unexplored part of the ocean, because we can't explore most of the ocean. We can guess, right, but we can't. We can make educated guesses, but we can't physically get down and explore like humans like to do the depths of the ocean.
I agree. I suspect there's a lot of interesting stuff down there too.
Oh yeah.
But this guy, I'm looking at a picture of him. He essentially had his cross country skis, his pole. He's dressed, in for he's dressed up.
I'll be right back.
Okay, he's dressed appropriately, and he's hauling the sled full of stuff, and the sled is just piled to the gills with a bunch of stuff. It looks like it probably weighs about 30 or 40 pounds at least, maybe 60 or 70 pounds. And he has it in a harness around his waist, and he just skied all the way across. He must be in terrific shape. But that must have been an amazing experience. I'll bet he was just so relieved to find his way back home. But anyway, let's see. What else is going on? Jesse DeFang Fox says, we need tracking devices on everyone, so electric shock will knock common sense into everyone that makes up fake news or fix up things on things not significant to fixing all things fucked up. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Jesse. I agree with you. Sometimes I feel that way. I would like to have electric shock collars on people to get them to shut up when they're being idiots.
Yeah, I agree.
And it would be especially useful in driving when somebody cuts you off in traffic to shock the hell out of them and show them who's boss.
And Jesse, no, that was Alex. He was telling me about the Utah raptor that is in his show.
Those Utah raptors.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. The other thing, this guy had no dogs. Turk February says, people who go to the Antarctic have to eat the dogs they use to get around. This guy had no dogs. He was the dog. He was hauling the sled. So he just hauled his own provisions and packed them in, packed them out. It's that must have been just an amazing thing.
Well, that's an interesting segue, Turk, because there's a headline that I found, that Gunfox dropped in the Discord, that it's kind of a good news story, but it's kind of a sad story at the same time. There's a bunch of U.S. and Canadian volunteers rescuing hundreds of greyhounds from a basically destiny of going to a food factory in China to become food.
Wow. That great taste of greyhound.
Yeah. So these volunteers are saving these dogs and bringing them over here and finding them places to be.
I don't understand what the attraction is of eating dog. It can't be that good.
It's the same thing with cat. Cat can't taste that good.
Yeah.
Especially stray cat.
I guess it depends if you're hungry enough. If you're hungry enough, you probably would eat anything.
Look, Pincalo's home.
That's nice. I can hear you guys all the way outside.
Maybe he can be a attention magnet for the kids for a little while.
Logan, you shouldn't have thrown all your diapers all over the floor.
Sounds like the situation is normal this morning at the Blind Press household.
Yes.
And Blind Girl was here. I didn't see
You
her.
got your ear piercing.
Good day, Blind Girl.
You blew out my speakers in my truck. Go.
See, Jesse says, I knew every dinosaur when I was a kid. I also thought Nessie and other lake monsters were plesiosaurs. That's interesting. I actually think that something like Nessie, if she does exist or did exist, that could be a trapped plesiosaur. I don't know how long they live. That's the thing. And but something like that is going to be a pretty successful predator, assuming she can find enough prey to feed on. But
I would agree with that.
Anyway, Blind Girl says, just finished a book you all would probably like called The Confidence Game. And
we don't have a shock collar for you. Oh my.
Yeah, great moments of parenting. Dude, who's missing their shock collar? Come over here. Insert the pins into your neck.
Are you doing laps again, my boy?
So anyway, in other news, I didn't see what the stock market did in the United States yesterday. That's a terrible thing to admit. But I'm going to take a look at it right. I'm just mark it somewhere.
While you do that, I'm going to regale you all with a tweet I saw this morning. It was a promoted tweet too. That said that we usually make resolutions, and in the new year we usually make personal resolutions. But how about this year you make a resolution for someone else and be a change for good?
So what kind of a resolution would you make?
I wouldn't make a resolution for anyone else because damn presumptuous.
Well, yeah, that's where I was kind of going with that. Is when I thought about it, I thought that doesn't sound like blind press. She wouldn't do that. That would be like MRAS making a uh, uh, pledge for me to become more woke,
Yeah.
more attuned to women's issues, and a better ally, and just one of these fully cucked allies who just shuts up and stares at the ground like a good white male is supposed to. That's never going to happen. I'm never going to be that person.
No.
So, yeah, make a resolution for somebody else. Who's saying that? Who's even saying it? Where are you getting that?
I can't. Let me see if I can find the tweet.
A resolution.
Did you just read that?
For someone else. Someone else. And let's see. A resolution won't fail at helping someone else achieve their goals. Do something with more lasting impact this year than losing those same 10 pounds.
No, that's not the one that I found.
Actually, this is an interesting thing. Let me just throw a couple of sentences out here from this, okay? In early January, many people resolved to do things differently in their lives. By mid-January, most people have already given up those resolutions and gone back to watching too much TV, eating hot dogs wrapped in pretzel crust from Auntie Annie's, and using their treadmill as a place to hang their clothes. But what if your responsibilities include helping other people reach their goals? Is there something you can do to get them through January and gasp beyond? Whether you are a manager, parent, or friend, research on goal setting shows there is plenty you can do to help someone else. New Year's resolutions are all about change: eat less, exercise more, and spend time with friends, get less stressed out. And let's face it, change is hard. And so then it basically says here are 4 things you can do to help people you care about. And the first one is call BS when you see it. And the second one is it says shove. Okay, I don't know what that means, but we know the old saw of using SMART goals.
Yeah.
As it turns out, the SMART approach is pretty smart. The one trouble involves the use of A, which stands for attainable. It turns out that people work harder and perform better when the goals are moderately difficult. One of the classic studies on goal setting was done 10 years ago by Edmund Locke and Gary Latham, who summarized 35 years of goal research in an article that appeared in Journal American Psychologist. Their work showed that people made the greatest effort toward achieving goals that were a challenge and made the least effort where the goal was easy or extremely hard. Keep that in mind the next time you sit down with someone and review the goals they've set. Okay. Use tough love. Remember when you were a kid or teacher, maybe one of your parents smiled at you and said, just do your best. They weren't helping you much. The S in SMART stands for specific. And Locke and Latham found that moderately difficult specific goals led to substantially better performance than instructions just to do one's best. They suggest that instructions do the best when you can provide no external referent, and people define their own acceptable performance level. If you are a parent, can you remember times when you instructed your kids to do the best you can? Did it work? Actually, when I did that with my kids, yes, it did. But usually the context in which I was informing them to do their best was they understood what they were trying to do, what they were trying to achieve.
Yes.
And there are times when that is appropriate advice. So I kind of disagree with that one a little bit.
I found the tweet that I was talking about.
Oh, good. Read it out.
At Mahindra Rise.
Yeah.
Every new year, you make resolutions for yourself. For 2019, how about making one for someone else instead? Hashtag resolution for good. Hashtag rise for good.
Okay, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Mahindra Rice resolutions.
Rise, R-I-S-E.
Yeah.
Mahindra Rise.
Mahindra Rise resolution.
It's an ad. It's a
just,
promoted tweet.
Yeah, it's Mahindra is a tractor maker, right? They're heavy equipment manufacturer. Please don't do that again, dog. I don't know. The spirit of Rise and Mahindra Group. It just sounds like typical corporate self-promoting.
It does.
And look at us, we're great. You know, look at all the very different and amazing first-time stuff that we're doing here, and how we're making people be better than they are. And we're going to force them to be perfect human beings.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, so that's that. If we back to U.S. News and World Report, I was just going to come down here and take a look. In 2019 was a year of drastic cuts to U.S. refugee admissions.
Well, yeah.
Okay, and so was it really? It is well known that President Trump wants a wall on the southern U.S. border and wants to kill everybody who has less money than he does. He insists it's urgent to curb illegal immigration, but more than any wall, new barriers to legal immigration are likely to have more bearing on people trying to enter the United States. The United States is rejecting more legal immigrants than ever before.
But they have the right to do that.
But it doesn't say we're rejecting more legal immigration. It doesn't say, are we getting more applications for legal immigration? It might be we're actually rejecting a smaller proportion of them than we ever have before. But we're rejecting a larger number because the number of applications has quadrupled for legal immigration. That's why we're rejecting a lot of them.
And again, you guys have the right to do that.
Yeah.
It's your fucking country. You can reject whoever you want.
That's right. If these guys show up and their name is on a sexual assault list in their country and we reject them, what is wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I mean, we have the right to say, you know, if you're going to come in here, you have to be a person of a certain caliber. You have to have, you know, something to offer us, and you have to come in and look like you're going to be a good fit for us. Yeah. And it's not a thing where you get to come in and change our culture willy-nilly. But, you know, of course, that's exactly what has happened in Britain and Denmark and Sweden and all these, you know, many other places where they've just said, hey, you can have a whole crap ton of refugees coming into your country, and that they will change your culture.
And I'm sorry, if you went to a country like Saudi Arabia, and you even attempted to be like, okay, well, this is how it's going to be now. Women are going to walk around with their hair uncovered, and they can wear whatever they want. Yeah. And oh, by the way, now gay people can get married, and they can walk around holding hands in public, and they can adopt children. And by the way, no more stonings. By the way, you have to now recognize Christmas and Halloween, and
you have to let people celebrate them if they want to.
Yes, you have to. Yeah, you have to allow. Yeah, you have to allow the celebration of those things. You have to allow the celebration of Easter and Passover, and like all of this stuff. You'd be dead before half of that list that I just rattled off.
That's right.
Would be out of but they can come here and
Change our culture.
Change our culture. Yeah, no. That's not okay with me.
That's it. In Finland, they're not even prosecuting rapes anymore by migrants. They're not prosecuting them at all. Effectively, rape is legal in parts of Finland now. And they tell you, don't go in those areas. If you go in those areas, expect to be raped. And we won't do a thing about it. We won't prosecute it. We won't do a thing.
My orientation instructor that I do those lessons with every Thursday, she's from England.
Yeah.
And she has said, you can't pay me to go visit.
Oh, no. It's dangerous. It's physically dangerous. In Birmingham, England, for pity's sake, there are no-go areas. There are all Sharia areas where you better be covered with, a hijab, like a niqab even, and you had better be, surrounded by your male relatives.
Yeah.
Because that's what is proper with Sharia law.
It's
heartbreaking.
terrifying.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, but it's also a little scary.
It is scary. And every one of us should look at these countries and say, that could be us. We could be that in a year, 2 years, 5 years. We don't know what's on the horizon for us. But you have a very aggressive group of people who want to promulgate their ideology, and they want to own your country, and they have the means to do that. I really don't like where this is going.
Well, and what's scarier than this is that when somebody like you or me points that out to other citizens of our country,
yes,
we're bigots, we're racists, we're horrible people. And it's like, but we're not saying that these, like, we're not saying these people don't have a right to exist. We just don't want them here.
Yes. And when you begin to give up that right as a country, you begin to devolve into a lawless region, and you're not a country anymore. If you can't protect your citizens, you can't enforce your borders, if you can't control immigration, if you can't uphold your laws, then you become something that is not a country.
Yeah.
And you devolve into madness, essentially. Very sad thing. Sad thing that is going on there. Let's see, what else was I looking at? Something that Sugar Tits set up. What was that? Let me just jump over to. Oh wait, no, before we get that, there was a news item from 1973, and I remember this when it happened. It's a picture of two guys, and they both have rifles,
right?
And they're sitting at the what's obviously the exit door of a school.
Okay.
They're sitting in chairs, and it says in 1973. This is a student and a teacher guarding a Delaware high school after someone called in a shooting threat during a morning class. Juniors, seniors, and teachers went to their cars and trucks to grab their guns and guard the doors between classes. No shooter ever arrived. Don't you know that shooter did drive by and saw everybody out there with guns? I mean, these guys are out in the open sunshine, just holding their guns. We're ready. Come on in. You want to shoot up the school? Come on in.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It really is. An armed society is a polite society. People don't realize that. It's such a strange thing, Blind. When you go to a gun range, virtually every gun range I've ever been to is a polite place where people help one another. And it's there's just a kindness that exists there that just makes you feel wonderful. It is just a wonderful thing. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's interested in, what kind of piece do you have? Can I see it? And, there's trust. And the reason is because you're all armed with lethal weapons and you're in there trusting one another to be safe with them and to not be aggressive with them. And likewise, if somebody violates that trust, the whole range will act like an organism. And I've seen this happen where, some kid was, jerking around and he was taking his gun out of the, stall that you shoot in, the shooting stall, and pointing it at his own head and pointing it at people in the line. And I saw like 4 people descend on this guy, pin the gun to his body, take the gun away from him, and hustle him out of there. And only one of them was an official guy, at the gun range. Only one was I think it was the range master, actually. And the other 3 were just folks, just people who were there shooting. And that's a beautiful thing.
I agree.
So now you've been to gun ranges, right? You shot before, is that right?
I have shot, but not at a range. What we've done is because our cottage is in such a rural area, we can do target practice.
We call it plinking down here.
So
go out the back 40 and plank.
Yeah, pretty much. We've got a shelf up at the cottage where everyone has their first pop can that they hit.
Oh, very good.
So I've got one up there.
Excellent. What kind of guns have you shot?
I shot a 22. Oh, hold on. Oh, you got him, honey? Thank you.
You shot a 22.
I've shot a 22. I've never shot. I want to shoot my grandma's over under, but I don't think I'm ever going to.
Why not? Why not? There's no reason why not.
It never gets taken out, really.
Got to clean it.
It hasn't been shot in like 25 years.
You're gonna have to take the gunsmith and have it cleaned and oiled.
And I've shot Pincalos. He bought himself a little air pistol. They're fun to shoot.
Sure.
But I've only ever shot the 22.
Okay, still that's shooting.
Yeah.
And it's a small caliber bullet, but it is a bullet, and that's a bullet that will kill you very efficiently.
Yeah.
If you get shot with one, so as long as you're careful, that would be it'd be fun to take you to a range, put a 9mm in your hand, and let you feel what that feels like.
I would love to go shooting.
That'd be excellent. It'd be fantastic. You'd have to have a little bit of help in terms of pointing down range and stuff and getting the attitude right. But yeah, that'd be great. You'd love it. I know you would. I know that you would love that. First time you shot a big gun like that, there's no feeling quite like it.
Oh, Hawk Silk says that story is shocking. I've been to your gun ranges. I've known what to do before I've even got there.
Oh yeah.
The story you told us about the idiot kid.
Yeah, that was. I have shot many hours on a gun range, gun ranges all across the country. That's the only time I've ever seen a display of behavior like that. And it was, when he, put the gun to his head, to his own head. I think that was probably the most chilling thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't see that. It just doesn't happen. It does not happen. So, in any case, see what was
Do we want to go through chat for a little bit since it's almost 11?
It is almost 11. And as I go through chat, Let's see, I want to get a shotgun to hunt, a handgun. This is Jesse Fennec Fox. I want to get a shotgun to hunt, handgun to protect myself, a crossbow, butterfly knife, more swords, throwing stars, and a new fishing pole. Jesse's basically outfitting for the post-apocalyptic world.
I agree.
Don't forget,
that's what it sounds like.
Get some good crossbow bolts.
Yep.
And plenty of ammunition and file to sharpen those throwing stars. I've come into contact with an interesting guy. Speaking of throwing stars that Jesse was talking about there, and he calls himself the card sharp ninja. And what he does is he takes new cards and he has perfected a throwing style so that he can cut a potato in half. I've seen him do it with a thrown playing card.
Wow.
And like he'll even rip them in half after he cuts the potato in half. You know, he'll pick up the card and rip it in half to show you it's nothing but a playing card.
That's crazy.
He absolutely turns
I think I've heard of him
into lethal weapons. It's pretty interesting to
I think I've heard of that guy.
To look at what he does. So that was an interesting thing. Let's see. Yeah, I've been shot with a BB too. Sometimes they break the skin and you have to dig them out. That's a pain. I got shot, you know, kind of a grazing shot, and it didn't go in the skin, fortunately.
That's good.
It broke the skin. It just made like a scrape on the side.
Yeah.
Of just above my knee. And see, yeah, Jesse the Fennec Fox says no one suspects the tiny females. They look and sound so innocent.
Not yet. I gotta leave.
Women could get a pass on violent crime.
Yes, you gotta go.
Leave.
Okay.
Drive carefully, Pink Owl.
Mom, he's so I can not play Paw Patrol with Mom.
You want to play Paw Patrol after?
Yeah.
You can play Paw Patrol in a few minutes.
We're actually after 11 o'clock now, I believe.
Yeah, I may have to.
11 folks, and I think we probably better call this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut it out early because Pink Hollow's got to go, and but the boys need mommy's attention.
And Scap's out of voice.
It Scap's out of voice, yes.
So anyway, thank you, chat, for coming and listening to us ramble on like this. And Lines, thanks for having me on as usual. It's great to be here with you.
Well, I'm glad you're able to come on, and I hope you'll be well enough to join us tomorrow night for Star Trek.
From your lips to God's ear, I hope so too. This is getting old right now. For me, it's back to the NyQuil.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks everybody for coming out. You want to take us out?
Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming out. We'll see you guys for the coffee stream on Monday, which will be New Year's Eve. And be sure to tune in tomorrow night for the Star Trek stream, where we'll be talking about the episode, the two-part episode, Scorpion from Voyager, which is the season finale of season 3 and the season premiere of season 4. So that'll be at 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. And so, yeah, thanks for coming out. I hope everyone has a great day. And we'll see you next time. Stay safe out there, everyone.
Be careful out there, guys.